go.
Good morning. Today I will be discussing the obscure struggles of student athletes and specifically the struggles that they face, like depression and alcohol consumption. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the solutions that I've found. Did you know that in the state of North Carolina, on average, 9.2% of non-athletes drop out of school before graduating compared to the 2% of athletes who do? This proves that even though student athletes have a lot going on in their life, that they're the least to crash, even with the amount of pressure that they have. Because of that pressure, most student athletes' deaths have been suicides and depression being the cause. As for my stimulus, I chose moral courage and intelligent disobedience because it talks about the pressure put onto people in the military, which can also relate to student athletes. And I also chose Simone Biles and the most human meaning of courage because it's close. Ooh. Because it's closely related to the pressure of being a student athlete or just an athlete in general. It also talks about her personal experience with stress and mental health during the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. These two led me to my research question: what's underneath the pressure that student athletes endure? Which is depression among student athletes. This is one of the most common and dangerous reasons that student athletes fail and pass away. This is important because most people overlook the fact that the pressure put onto these student athletes cause them to develop mental problems like depression. 21% of Division I NCAA athletes have reported clinically relevant depressive symptoms, but that's not it. Elite athletes are athletes who have reached their highest level of performance, and two examples of those are Morgan D. Rogers, who was an elite college lacrosse player for Duke University, and Lauren Burnett, who was a sophomore catcher and cleanup hitter at James Madison University. They both committed suicide because of the reality and pressure of being considered an elite athlete. As you can see, Morgan Rogers had it in her mind that lacrosse defined her, which caused bad mental problems, that was depression. However, this isn't the only problem student or elite athletes face. Alcohol consumption is another. High school students who only participate in sports are the ones found to have alcohol and drinking problems. These problems occur because of pressure and the struggles they face with school, their social life, and their sport. Because of this, the most common reasons for drinking are conformity and enhancement. Enhancement because of the feeling that it'll help them feel and get better about themselves when they're doing bad, and conformity because, for example, an athlete having or being forced to follow a coach's orders, even if they're against the rules. So drinking can help them to feel more free and not pressured to follow the rules of the school or their coaches. However, there are more reasons for drinking problems like social and coping, which both have 0.87% enhancement at 0.93% and conformity at 0.88%. Overall, alcohol consumption and drinking problems and depression develop because of the pressure they get from either being an elite athlete or just a student athlete in general, as well as their responsibilities like their social life and friends. Drinking is a way to cope and feel better, while depression is a mental illness that they fall into because of the stress of their life. However, there are solutions and preventions that I found. Morgan's Message is an organization that was built to help other student athletes who are struggling and to help them strengthen their mental health. It was built after Morgan passed away so that there will be less student athletes like her suffering. Fender quotes Morgan as cheerful and energetic on the outside, but on the inside she was losing herself. This is why Morgan's message is important to help other student athletes. Thankfully, there are more than one existing programs. For example, the Hidden Opponent, which raises awareness for student athlete mental health, and the Kevin Love Fund, which inspires people to live their healthiest lives while also providing tools for mental health, as well as the Madison Halloran Foundation, which was made to prevent suicides and assist student athletes when they're in a difficult situation. And lastly, the TAE project, which help student athletes navigate through their mental health situations. Other than programs, there are also tips available for parents and coaches. For example, tips like to not just assume that they're doing fine and to focus on process, not outcome. Fortunately, there are more than just one people giving tips. Vanessa Flynn, a researcher at the University of Colorado, Denver, gives tips like to talk with their students about life after athletics and to remember that their students aren't professional athletes, so they shouldn't be treated like one. Overall, student athletes have lots of pressure on them. Not only that, but other unseen and unknown struggles like alcohol drinking and drinking problems that not many people are aware of. Thankfully, there have been solutions like programs to help suffering student athletes that are suffering. More citations.